Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So all of you put the side heading numerical solutions to ODE. Numerical solutions to ODE. So you will be given a first order first degree differential equation like this: dy by dx equal to f of x comma y with y of x not equal to y naught. With y of x not equal to y naught. Okay. You may be asked to find out y value at a point x1, which we will call it as y1. Okay. So do you remember what is this condition called? This is a differential equation along with a condition. What is this condition called? Do you remember? What is the differential equation together with this condition called? Do you know initial condition and boundary condition? Did you learn about the initial conditions and boundary conditions in your previous semester?
No,
What?
sir.
For example, I give you a second order differential equation like this: y double dash plus 2y dash plus 3y equal to some sin x. Okay, this is a second order differential equation. How many arbitrary constants you are going to see after finding the general solution?
2, sir.
2. Okay. Now you will be seeing some conditions like this: y of 0 equal to 1, y dash of 0 equal to 1. Okay, and you remember you'll be using these conditions to find out the values of the arbitrary constants which are in the general solution. You did that kind of problems. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Instead of conditions like this, conditions may be like this: y of 0 equal to 1. Okay, y dash of okay 1 equal to 0. Okay, what is the difference you see between these two conditions? There are two conditions specified here. Here also two conditions specified here, but here both the conditions are specified at x equal to 0 only, at the same point. But here the conditions are specified at different points. Can you see it? Can you see
Yes,
it?
sir.
Okay, so if all the conditions are specified at the same point, they are called initial conditions. They are called initial conditions. In short, it is denoted with IC. Okay, and if the conditions are specified at different points, they are called boundary conditions. They are called boundary conditions. In short, BC. Okay, so the differential equation, okay, may be given with the initial conditions. The differential equation may be given with the boundary conditions. Okay, so if I am specifying the DE with initial conditions, then that is called initial value problem. That is called a initial value problem. In short, it is called it as IVP. Whereas if I am specifying the differential equation with boundary conditions, this is called boundary value problem. That is called a boundary value problem. In short, BVP. Sometimes differential equation may be together with initial conditions as well as boundary conditions. In that case, we will call it as IBVP. That means initial boundary value problem. Okay. Generally, you will encounter boundary value problems or initial boundary value problems in partial differential equations. Mostly, you will be seeing initial value problem in ordinary differential equations. As far as first order is concerned, when only one condition is given, first order differential equation, only one arbitrary constant will be there in the general solution. So if you are specifying some condition, that condition will generally refer it as a initial condition. So the differential equation together with this initial condition, what is this problem called?
Initial value problem.
Initial value problem. Okay, so you are given an initial value problem, given an IVP, initial value problem. Okay, so remember, in the solution of a initial value problem is unique, because when you're solving the differential equation, you are going to get a general solution. General solution contain arbitrary constants. Arbitrary constants means you can assign any value to the arbitrary constant. For different values of the arbitrary constant, you will get different solutions. The set of all the solutions put together called the general solution. But if you are specifying some condition like this, that means what? You are picking a particular solution from the set of all solutions, because you don't want all the solutions. You want a solution which satisfies a certain condition. What is that condition? Your solution should pass through the point x naught comma y naught. That means when I substitute x equal x naught in the solution, I should get a y naught. Such a solution only I want. So that is going to be unique. Okay. So solution of a differential equation are infinity. Okay, there are several solutions are there, but solution of an initial value problem is unique, only one. Okay, once you have a solution, okay, whatever the value you substitute in that solution, you will get the corresponding value of y. If I give x equal x2, you will get y2. X equal x3, you will get y3, and so on. Okay, that is how you can do in analytical methods. But in numerical methods, we are not going to find out y of x. Okay, in analytical methods, what we do, we used to find out y of x only by using the initial condition. Okay, by using this initial condition, you will be finding the arbitrary constant. You will substitute some c equal to 1 or c equal to 2, whatever you get. Okay, and then you will be giving a solution y in terms of x. You used to solve for y of x. Okay, and something like, see, let us say dy by dx equal to, okay, dy by dx equal to, let us say x by y, okay, or y by x with the condition that y of 0 equal to 1. If I give the condition like this, then what is this? When you separate the variables, 1 by y dy is equal to 1 by x dx. So when I integrate on both sides, these two are variables separable. So when I integrate, log y is equal to log x plus, okay, instead of c, because both are logarithms, I can add log c, or log y equal to log cx. Okay, for better readability, I may call it as m, where m is the arbitrary constant. So when I remove logarithm on both sides, y equal to mx, where m is the arbitrary constant. So what is this y equal to mx called to this differential equation?
General solution.
General solution. Now, which represents an infinitely many solutions. They are nothing but the set of straight lines which are passing through the origin. But I don't want this general solution. I want a solution satisfying this condition. Okay. So now use that condition. Okay. So y of 0 equal to 1 means what? Y of 0 equal to 1 means what? When x equal to 0, y value is 1. So 1, put y equal to 1, m into 0. Okay, I think you don't get a solution for this. Okay, so there is no solution satisfying this condition. So what I will say, I will change the condition. Let us say y of 1 equal to 1. Y of 1 equal to 1. So in that case, what happens? Okay. So when x equal to 1, y equal to 1. That means what? M equals to 1. So when I substitute m equal to 1, what you are getting? So y equal to x. Y equal to x is the solution. Okay. You are able to express, okay, y purely in terms of x. You get a solution which is nothing but a straight line passing through origin. Now if I want y of 2, substitute here. If I want y of 3, substitute here. Okay. So y is nothing but y of x only. Okay. So whatever the value substitute here, outcome can be obtained by substituting that value in the output in the right hand side function. So you are finding a solution which is in terms of x. You are finding a solution which is in terms of x. Okay. But here we don't need the complete solution also. We don't need y completely in terms of x. Okay. Our problem is to find out the value of x at a given value of to find out the value of y at a given value of x1. That's it. So I don't want the complete nature of this function also. What I want is what happens when x equal to x1. Tell me this value. That's it. Or what happens when x equal to x2. Tell me this value. That's it. I don't need the entire solution also, y of x also. Okay. So that we are going to do mostly by applying different methods in this numerical techniques. Okay. So just make a note of this these things. Initial value problem, boundary value problem, initial boundary value problem. They are nothing but differential equations together with some conditions. Okay. Those conditions can be initial conditions or boundary conditions. Okay. Now before going to see the first method in this, okay, you need some previous knowledge. Okay. So what is it? Okay. So first put this heading Taylor series method. Taylor's series method. Did you learn about Taylor series? Did you learn Taylor series in your intermediate?
No, sir.
Maclaurin series? Maclaurin series? Do you know expansion of e power x? What is e power x? Expansion? 1 plus
X squared by
x square by 2 factorial plus x cube by 3 factorial and so on, right? Similarly, you know sin x expansion. What is sin x expansion? X minus x cube by 3 factorial plus x power 5 by 5 factorial minus x power 7 by 7 factorial and so on. Do you agree? So like this, you know several expansions. Am I right or wrong?
yes, sir.
These expansions are called Maclaurin series. Maclaurin's series, which is a special case of Taylor series. Which is a special case of Taylor's series. Which is a special case of Taylor series. Okay. Now, first of all, you please see the difference between these two terms. What is a sequence? What is a series? You know the difference between sequence and series? Give an example of a sequence. Can you give an example of a sequence? We have been using the terminology.
Numbers in AP, sir.
You just tell me. I don't know what is AP. You just tell me an example.
13579.
Okay. And if I write like this, 1357, like this, are these two same or different?
Different, sir.
This is called finite sequence, and second one is called infinite sequence. You understand what do you mean by finite sequence and infinite sequence, right? There are finite number of terms, that is called finite sequence. There are infinite number of terms, that is called infinite sequence. Okay. Now, what is an example of a series? Can you give an example of a series? These are all basics and which are very much useful. Okay, because next year we are going to learn complex analysis. Okay, there we are going to learn about some more theory on series. What is an example of
2
a series?
plus 4 plus 8 plus 16.
2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 16. Okay, and it could be like this also, 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 16 plus and so on. And what is the difference between these two? This is a finite sum, this is an infinite summation. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Finite sum is always finite, but infinite sum need not be finite. In fact, infinite sum may exist, may not exist also. Do you agree? Okay. So 1 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2 square plus and so on. If I write like this infinite series has a sum, but this infinite series does not have a sum. Agreed or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the main interest is on infinite series, not on finite series, because finite series is always having a sum. There is nothing much to discuss about finite series. Okay, so infinite, when come to infinite series, okay, so if a series is given, infinite series is given, okay, it is not so easy every time to know whether the series is going to have a sum or not. There are different methods to know whether there is a sum or not. If it has a sum, then the series is said to be convergent. Okay, by default, whenever I say series, you please remember it as a infinite series. Whenever I'm calling a sequence, you assume that it is an infinite sequence. Okay, and the same is for sequence also. Okay, there is nothing to discuss about finite sequence. Finite sequence is finite, it will end with the last number. But infinite sequence, okay, our interest is what could be the next number, what could be the next number, that is part of logic. What is the next number of the series? They generally misuse the word. Okay, they will say in logic problems, okay, they will say like this, and they will ask the question like this: what could be the next number of the series? They should not say, they should not use the word series, they should use the word sequence. What could be the next number of the sequence? Okay, but that is a problem of interest in logic. But the problem of interest in mathematics is, as a number of terms are going to infinity, whether these numbers are approaching to a particular number or not. Are these approaching to a particular number or not? If I am writing like this 1 by 2, 1 by 3, 1 by 4, 1 by 5 and so on. If you draw it on the graph, okay, so this is 1 by 2, this is 0, 1 by 3, 1 by 4, 1 by 5, 1 by 6, 1 by 7, 1 by 8, 1 by 9, 1 by 10, 1 by 11, 1 by 12, 1 by 100, okay, 1 by 1000. So as the number of terms are increasing, all these terms are approaching to a particular number. Which number the members of the sequence are approaching?
0, sir.
0, sir.
0. Is that 0 part of? Is that 0 part of this? Is that 0 part of this sequence?
No, sir.
No, it is not necessary that the number to which the sequence is approaching, not necessarily a member of the sequence. Okay, so if that is the case, we say, okay, if the members of the sequence are approaching to a particular number, then we say it is a convergent sequence. What is this called? Is a convergent sequence. It is a convergent sequence. If that is not the case, we say it is a divergent sequence. Any sequence which is not convergent, any sequence which is not convergent is said to be divergent. So is this convergent sequence or divergent sequence?
Convergent sequence.
This one 1 3 5 7 And
Divergence.
diverges to where? Diverging to 1 3 5 7 9 11 13 15 17 and so on. So where it is diverging?
Infinite, sir.
Plus infinity. Plus infinity. Am I right? And if I am writing like this, -1, -3, -5, -7 and so on. If I write like this, then as n tends to infinity, where this sequence it is going to, it is diverging to
Minus.
Minus infinity.
minus infinity. Is that okay? Now the numbers can be like this also. Numbers can be like this also. 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1 and so on. As the number of terms are infinity, whether these terms are going to a particular number, 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1. Okay, so it is oscillating. Are they approaching to a particular number?
No, sir.
So can you say that it is convergent sequence?
No, sir.
No. Therefore, any sequence which is not convergent is said to be.
Divergent.
So this is also divergent. So 1 minus 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1 is also a divergent sequence. But it is not diverging to plus infinity. It is not diverging to minus infinity. It is an oscillating sequence. Every oscillatory sequence is also a divergent. Oscillator, okay. So divergent sequence doesn't mean that it is always diverging to plus infinity. It is diverging to minus infinity. It can be oscillating between two values also. Is that fine? So if a sequence is given, okay, how to know whether a sequence is convergent or divergent? There are some mathematical methods. Okay, so using those methods, you will be determining whether the sequence is convergent or divergent. So these sequences are denoted like this: S1, S2, S3. Order is very important. Okay, S4. If you change the order, that is a different sequence. Okay, if you are writing 3, 1, 5, 7, it is completely a different sequence with this. Don't say that these two are same. These two are not at all same. Okay, two sequences are same if and only if the corresponding portions are equal. If the elements in the corresponding portions are equal, then only they are equal sequences, same sequences. Is that okay? So a sequence is denoted like this, or in short, it is denoted with like this, n, Sn. Okay, so whenever you see a symbol like this, that means it is a sequence. Similarly, I can write like this also. This is a sequence un, this is a sequence Sn. So if you have a sequence un like this, how can I write a series using un? If I add these terms u1, u2, u3 and so on, this is nothing but a series. So how do you write series in shorthand notation? N equals to 1 to infinity un. If somebody is starting the series like this, u0 plus u1 plus u2 plus and so on, you will be writing this as
Sigma un from n equal to 0 to
0
infinity.
to infinity. So whatever the index you are starting with, you are writing that the same in the sigma notation. Okay, so n can start with 2, n can start with 10, n can start with 0 and 6. After all, it is an index which is going to be the first index. Okay, so this is about series. Okay, so this series can be of two types. Okay, so that can be a number series or it can be a function series. Okay, number series has only two cases, either it is convergent or divergent, right? If I write 1 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2 square plus and so on, what is the nature of the series? You know, it is a geometric series with common ratio 1 by 2 less than 1, therefore you will say it is convergent. If I write 2 plus 2 square plus 2 cube plus and so on, and you know this is a geometric series with common ratio greater than 1, therefore it is a divergent series. So what do you mean by number series? Where each term is a number. Where each term is a number is called number series. Okay. So number series is having only one case. Either it is convergent or divergent. Okay. There is one more series is called function series. There is one more series is called function series. What is function series? What is function series? Something like 1 plus
Variables.
x square plus x cube plus and so on. Where the terms of the series, where the terms of the series are in terms of x or in terms of a variable. That is called function series. Now, can you say that this function series is convergent or divergent always?
No, sir. Depends
No.
on the value of it.
It depends on the value of x. Okay. For certain values of x, it is convergent. For certain values of x, it is divergent. If I substitute x equal to 1 by 2, it is convergent. If I substitute x equal to it is divergent. Okay. So certain function series is, you cannot say immediately it is convergent or divergent. It depends on the values of x that you are inputting. Okay. So to know whether a given series for what values of x the given series is convergent or divergent, okay, that is again a point of study. Okay, and there are some methods to determine whether to determine whether it is having a sum or not. To determine whether it is having a sum or not. Having sum means convergent. Sum means by default finite quantity only. So if it is convergent or not. Okay. Now whatever you said previously, 1 plus x power 1 by 1 factorial plus x square by 2 factorial plus x cube by 3 factorial plus and so on. What is this series called? Is this not a function series?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, which is called as a function series, which is convergent for all values of x. That means for whatever the value you substitute x here, it is going to have a sum. What is that sum? That sum is given by e power x. That sum is given by e power x. Am I right? So when I substitute x equal to 1 in this left hand side expression, what is that sum means e power 1. If I substitute 2 in the left hand side expression, what is that sum means e power 2. Do you agree or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so fortunately only like this you can express the sum of a convergent series as a formula only for certain type of series only. Okay, it is not so easy, okay, to write or to find the sum of a convergent function series. Okay, and what is the formula for the sum? It can be some function of x. What is that? Finding that may be very highly difficult. Finding that is highly difficult for an arbitrary convergent series. Okay, so only first we will be knowing there are methods. We have sufficient methods only whether it is having a sum or not. If you know what is, if it is going to have a sum, then you can apply some method to find out the exact value of the sum. If you cannot go, if you cannot find out the exact value of the sum, at least you will find out the approximate value of the sum by taking some 100 terms or 1000 terms, by neglecting the remaining terms. Am I right? Okay. So we'll be truncating the series. Okay, to find out an approximate value. When you truncating means what? Cutting and leaving the rest. That is called truncation. Okay. So we use approximations. We find out approximate value of the series by truncating the series. So when you truncate, that infinite series becomes a finite series. Okay. So that's all about series. Okay. Now in Taylor series is the other way. Okay. Now when f of x is given, if f of x is given, then how to express this as a series? Or when can we express this as a series? Something like some gn of x, or something like f1 of x plus f2 of x plus f3 of x plus and so on. Okay, so now the question is the other way. Previously, if a series is given, how to write it as a sum? If a sum is given, how to write it as a series? The other way of the problem. Do you catch my point? Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what is the problem I am telling? If a function is given, when can we express this as a series? Function series. Okay. So that we can do if the function is infinitely differentiable. Okay. If f of x is infinitely differentiable. Okay. So that is what is given by Taylor's series. Okay. If f of x is infinitely differentiable, in a neighborhood of x equal to a. What do you mean by neighborhood? Surrounding points a minus h and a plus h. Okay. Then f of x has as a Taylor series expansion. About x equal to a, given by f of x is equals to f of a plus f dash of a into x minus a plus f dash of a by 1 factorial, f double dash of a by 2 factorial into x minus a whole square plus and so on. In short, you can write it as sigma n equal to 0 to infinity nth derivative at a by n factorial into x minus a whole power. So that is what is called as a Taylor series. Okay. So if you have a function which is infinitely differentiable, remember a function need not be differentiable. Even if it is differential, it need not have a second order derivative. Even if second order derivative exists, third order derivative may not exist. Okay. So if you want to write a function into an infinite series, then the function has to be infinitely many differentiable. That means what? It should have derivatives of all orders, first order, second order, third order, and so on. All orders should exist. Then only you can write a function as a function series. It is a function series. You see, the terms are nothing but in terms of x. You can see a variable. Okay, this also you can see as a constant function, another function, linear function, quadratic function, cubic function, and so on. Okay, so it is a function series. It is a function series. Okay, so this is called Taylor series. Okay, in particular, shall I proceed?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, and Taylor series Taylor's series about x equal to 0. X equal to 0 is called Maclaurin series. That means what? You have to put a equal to 0. That means if the function is infinitely differentiable at 0, the point x equal to 0, then it is going to be f of x equal to wherever a is there, replace a with 0. F of x equal to f of 0 plus f dash of 0 by 1 factorial into x power 1 plus f double dash of 0 by 2 factorial into x square plus and so on. Okay. So what I'm telling, so replace a with 0, f of 0 plus, okay, uh, f dash of 0 by f dash of 0 by 1 factorial into x power 1 plus f double dash of 0 by 2 factorial into x square plus f triple dash of 0 by 3 factorial into x cube plus and so on. So simply this is nothing but n equal to 0 to infinity, nth derivative at 0 by n factorial into x power n. So that is how you got expansions for e power x, sin x, cos x, log of 1 plus x. You know some standard expansions, right? Okay, so what you have to do, take f of x equal to e power x, find out the first derivative, second derivative, third derivative, fourth derivative, and so on. In those derivatives, substitute x equal to 0, then f of 0, f dash of 0, f double dash of 0 you will get. You substitute those values here, then that is nothing but e power x expansion. Find out the derivative of sin x. Okay, first derivative is cos x, second derivative is minus sin x. Okay, third derivative is minus cos x, and so on. In those derivatives, again substitute x equal to 0. Okay, then substitute in this formula, that is called sin x series expansion, cos x series expansion, log of 1 plus x series expansion. Okay, so like this you can write the function into series, okay, by using this formula. Okay, Maclaurin series will be in powers of x only. Maclaurin series is in powers of x only. So like this, okay, you can write a function into series using this Maclaurin series formula. Okay, so Taylor series different. Okay, so if I give a equal to 1, you will get in the powers of x minus 1. You will get, if I give a equal to minus 1, you will get powers of x plus 1. Okay, so you can write a function into series in several ways, because I can write I can replace a with the different numbers. Only thing, the function has to be differential around those numbers. As long as it is following that, then I can write a function into Taylor series in several ways. You can write a function to Taylor series in several ways. Okay, shall I proceed? Shall I?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, okay. Now, what is the Taylor series of? Uh, I have written the formula for Taylor series of f. Now, what will be the Taylor series of y? Taylor's series of y equal to y of x about x equal to x naught, about x equal to x naught is given by, can you tell me, just change the notation. What is the Taylor series of y equal to y of x about x equal to x naught? Y of x is equal to, can you tell me?
F of x naught.
F of x, it is
Y
not
of
f
x naught.
y plus y dash of x naught by
1 factorial
into x minus x naught power 1 plus y double dash of x naught by 2 factorial into x minus x naught whole square plus and so on. Do you agree? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now x naught is here, x1 is here. What is the distance from x naught to x naught? Let us say h, step length. So what is the relation between x1 to x naught? How can I express x1 in terms of x naught? x1 equal to
H plus
H into
H.
X.
x naught plus h only, no? Right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if I substitute, if I replace x with x1 in this formula, what do you get? Y of x1 equal to x1 is nothing but x naught plus h only, with this understanding. Okay, which is equal to, now what is y of x naught? Y naught. That is what I have written. Can you see that? Y of x naught I have written with the y naught. Okay. Plus, can I write it as y naught dash? Y naught dash. Y naught dash means my understanding of this notation means y dash of x naught. Y dash of x naught I am writing it as y naught dash into x1 minus x naught plus y naught double dash by 2 factorial into x1 minus x naught whole square and so on. Do you agree? Now what is x1 minus x naught? What is x?
Step length.
So can I write it
H.
as, so y, what is y of x1? Y of x1 is nothing but y1. Do you agree? Y of x1 equal to y1. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So y1 is equals to, so y1 equal to y naught plus h power 1 by 1 factorial into y naught dash plus h square, x1 minus x naught is h square by 2 factorial into y naught double dash plus h cube by 3 factorial into y naught triple dash plus h power 4 by 4 factorial into y naught fourth derivative and so on. Actually I should not use this symbol, because if I am using that symbol I have to put that in bracket like this. Okay. Now how many terms are there in the right hand side? How many terms are there in the right hand side?
Infinity.
Infinite. Can you add infinitely many terms practically?
No, sir.
No,
No.
sir.
No, sir.
So if I am adding only, if I am taking only first two items, y naught plus h by 1 factorial into y naught dash plus h square by 2 factorial into y naught double dash plus h cube by 3 factorial into y naught triple dash plus h power 4 by h power 4 by 4 factorial into y naught fourth derivative. Then what is the symbol I have to write here? Will equality holds? Equality holds when you add infinite terms.
No, sir.
Okay. So what should I write here? It is not equal to, it is not exactly equal to, but
Approximately.
approximately equal to. And what is numerical method is all about? Finding the
Approximate value.
approximate value only. Is that right? So we will be finding y naught is given. We will be finding y naught dash, y naught double dash, y naught triple dash, y naught fourth derivative, and substituting that function, you will get y1. So what is y1? Y1 is nothing but y of x1 equal to y1. Suppose you want y of x2 also. Then what you do? You replace y of x0 with y0 with this condition. Now you got the latest value. Then what will be y2 formula? Already y1 is now. Already y1 we computed just now. So y1 plus h power 1 by 1 factorial into y1 double dash plus h square by 2 factorial into y1 double dash plus and so on. Okay, let me write two more terms only because we are approximating h cube by h cube by 3 factorial h cube by 3 factorial into y1 power third derivative plus h power 4 by 4 factorial into y1 power fourth derivative. So in general, if I want yk plus 1, if I want yk plus 1, what would be the answer? It will be in terms of yk. K equal to 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. Only thing, the points have to be equally spaced. x0, x1, x2, x3. So the distance is h, 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 h like that. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so this is the general formula. Okay, to find out the value of y, there is a mistake here. Yk plus 1. So if you want y2, you have to find out y1 first. If you want y3, you have to find out y1 and y2. Sequentially, you have to repeatedly apply this formula. Okay. So in the next class, we'll see how to find out these derivatives, and then how to compute the value of x at a given value of x1, the value of y at a given value of x2. Is it okay? And after the class, I will share these notes so you can go through it, whatever I discuss it today. Is it fine?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.